Stand in a quiet room with your back to the door. Someone walks in behind you. They say nothing. They touch nothing. And still, before you hear a footstep, something in your neck tightens. You know they are there. You have just felt a presence you cannot see. Hold on to that feeling, because in 1987, a Japanese artist named Hirohiko Araki started drawing a comic built almost entirely around it. And a few years in, he gave that invisible presence a body. The comic is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The presence is called a stand. If you have spent any time near anime fans, you have heard the word thrown around like everyone already agrees what it means. So let us actually ask the plain question. What is a stand? Start with the problem Araki was trying to solve. His early story arcs ran on a kind of martial arts energy called heimin, or ripple, breathing techniques that channel power through the body. It worked, but it was hard to draw. Energy is invisible. On the page, a punch full of invisible power looks a lot like an ordinary punch. Araki needed a way to make the unseen visible. So around 1989, in the third part of the story, he tried something new. Instead of drawing energy flowing through a character, he drew a second figure standing right beside them. A guardian, a ghostly fighter that most people in the world cannot see at all. He called it a stand because it stands by you. Here is the first rule. A stand is not a weapon you pick up. It is not a spirit you summon from somewhere far away. It grows out of the person. It is their own life force, their fighting spirit, made solid enough to throw a punch. One person, one stand. It follows you the way your shadow does, except it can act on its own. And here is the part that makes the idea stick. The stand is matched to the person. Its shape, its power, its whole temperament is a portrait of whoever it belongs to. A patient, precise character gets a patient, precise stand. A reckless one gets something wild. The power is not random. It is you, turned inside out and given fists. That is why fans argue about their own stands the way other people argue about star signs. The question, what would your stand be, is really the question, what are you actually like underneath? A stand is a personality with a health bar. There is a mechanical cost built in too. Most stands only reach so far. The closest, strongest ones can barely leave arm's length from their user. They hit like a jackhammer up close and do nothing across a room. The ones that work at long range tend to be fragile or automatic, running on fixed rules instead of muscle. Power trades against distance. Nothing is free. That single trade-off turns every fight into a puzzle rather than a slugging match. And then there are the names. Araki is a lifelong music obsessive, and it shows. The earliest stands were named after tarot cards, then Egyptian gods. Then, for decades after that, he named them after the rock and pop he loved. Bands, albums, songs. Once you notice it, you cannot stop seeing it. A whole roster of invisible fighters, quietly named after one man's record collection. So step back. What is a stand, actually? It is a single, elegant trick for a very old problem. Every good story about power eventually has to answer the same question. What does a person's inner strength look like if you could somehow see it? Most stories leave it invisible. A glow, a shout, a gust of wind. Araki refused. He pulled the thing out of the character and stood it up next to them, where the reader could watch it move and bleed and lose. That is the quiet genius of it. A stand is not really a superpower. It is a character's soul, drawn standing on the outside of their body. The fight you are watching is never just two people hitting each other. It is two personalities, made visible, trying to outthink one another. Which brings us back to that quiet room. The presence at your back that you feel before you see. The sense that there is always more to a person than the body standing in front of you. Araki did not invent that feeling. He just drew it, gave it a name, and let it throw a punch. Now you know.